welcome. I'm Krista Gibson, the host of Keeping It Real. I'm also the publisher of NewSpiritJournal.com. Now, you may have noticed that there has not been a Keeping It Real television show for the last 3 weeks. The last one that I did was on April 3rd, and today is May 1st, 2017. If you follow me on Facebook, and if you read my blog, you also know that I have been having some health challenges and that I decided to share my journey as I was going through it rather than just waiting to tell you all about it when I'm on the other side. Anyway, go to my Facebook page and you'll find I'm doing a daily blog there, and there's also a way for you to sign up. Well, today I have a really interesting guest, and it really does fit in with me personally and probably with you. I think of the people I talk to. I work with a lot of different people doing spiritual counseling, mentoring, some business mentoring, that sort of thing. And more than once, people have said to me, "What is my life purpose? I don't really know why I'm here." Or they think they know why they're here, go down a certain road and find out, gee whiz, it all changed, and that's not why they're here. So my guest today is a woman by the name of Janet Conner, and she's written a book called Find Your Soul Purpose, and she's also the author of another book called Writing Down Your Soul. Now, I reviewed this book a couple of weeks ago, and it's full of exercises and things that you can do that really can lead you into that place of truly understanding why you're here on the planet and what it is you're supposed to be doing, and help lead you to a place where you're happier and more joyful and more fulfilled because you're living in alignment with your soul. So today, let's talk to Janet and let's see what she can share with us about finding our soul purpose and living it. Hi, Janet. So glad you could be here with us today.
Oh, I'm just so delighted to be with you. Thank you.
So let's just jump right in. What is your book is Find Your Soul Purpose. So what is our soul purpose, and is that the same as life purpose? Let's talk about it.
Actually, it's such an interesting question, because I've been told by angel guidance readers and Akashic record readers and psychics and everything that the number one question people have is, what is my purpose, and am I living my soul's purpose?
Absolutely.
And so, right, I mean, that's on everybody's mind. Yep. And it seems to be on our minds even more now.
Yes.
It seems like everybody's feeling, you look around and you look at all the suffering in this world, you look at all the racism and the misogyny and everything that's going on, not just in the United States, around the world. You look at the way we are abusing Mother Earth, and it hurts. It hurts. And everybody is feeling this. How can I help? What can I do? And the answer is live your soul's purpose. So just like everybody, I went into writing this book, exploring it and teaching it with the idea that your soul's purpose is one thing.
Okay.
It's a sentence, it's a mission. And slowly, as I walked the sacred spiral, did a lot of research, read a lot of books, had a lot of dreams, I was like inside this entire thing, I realized, wait a second, it's not one thing. It's not a sentence. It may, in the end, come to you as a phrase or a sentence that you love with your whole heart, and you actually practice as a prayer every single day, renewing your commitment to live it. But it's not a job. It's not a career. It's nothing you can measure. See, the problem with the word life purpose, or even the problem with the word purpose,
right,
is because our corporations have a tendency to use that kind of language. We immediately almost can't help yourself. You start thinking, well, am I doing this? Am I doing it right? Should I be doing it better? And you get into measurement and judgment when this is divinity.
Right.
This isn't. So it's kind of fun to say right away, not a job, not a career. I actually learned from Laura Lynn Bunn, the great teacher and consultant of the Akashic Record, who has now for over 25 years been having conversations with the masters and teachers about this number one question people ask, what is my soul's purpose? And she's the one who said, you know, Janet, very few people purpose that even sounds a little bit like a career. At least 85, probably 90% of people have a soul purpose that's more about a way to walk through this earth in beauty.
Interesting.
Only a few have a purpose that sounds at all like mine does. Mine is, I use words to connect people to the light. That kind of sounds like a writer. It kind of sounds like somebody that might have a radio show. Kind of sounds like somebody that might do some speaking and some teaching. But she's the one who said, actually, that's quite rare. But she did say this. If you have one of those, to be a healer, to do so, it's really non-negotiable. You will not be at peace in life until you step into so. And I had to laugh when she said that, because is that proof of me? I avoided this for years. I wanted to be a successful headhunter, and I wanted to be a successful human resource consultant, and I was. I was making a lot of money, and I was miserable. So your soul purpose is not a job, not a career, and it's not one thing.
That was going to be one of my questions. Is it just one thing? Okay, good.
It was a great surprise to me that it's almost like a whole bucket. There's a whole basket of things. When you go through the spiral and you finally step out of time and remember your soul's purpose, it's almost as if the mystery, the divine, by whatever perception you have of it, is handing you trays and saying, choose, 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 choose. Choose your gifts. Choose your talents. Because how are you going to fulfill your soul's purpose? How are you going to live it? You're going to live it by expressing these gifts and expressing these talents. And a lot of them you may have been suppressing since childhood, when your parents or somebody told you, you can't make a living doing that. Go to law school. But then the bigger surprise, because you could say, well, okay, my gifts, my talents, but it's also your shadows. This was the biggest surprise to me, is that you choose them. They're put out in front of you. Some you recognize, some you do not, but your heart still reaches out and you are choosing. Because once again, how can you possibly fulfill your soul's purpose if you don't rub up against, right? This is how you really, that friction is really what gives birth to living in the fullness of who you really are. The great African shaman, Malidoma Somé.
You quote him quite a lot, yes.
Oh, I love that book so much, of Water and the Spirit. But then, interestingly enough, Linda Bachman, who was trained by Michael Newton, she's one of the most famous past life regression assistants on the planet. They both said the same thing. Now, isn't that interesting? Okay, so the great African shaman wisdom and very modern psychology say exactly the same thing. You choose the family you choose. And of course, upon hearing that, we all go, I did what?
What was I thinking?
What was I thinking? But here is this great indigenous wisdom and very sophisticated modern psychology saying the same thing. You actually choose the family in which your soul's purpose can come to life. And so, if you're willing to look at the crazy people you chose, and the ancestry, and the addiction, and all that stuff you dragged with you, isn't it really helping you? Isn't it helping you? In ways that don't necessarily feel good as you're growing up, but you are learning through this incredible friction to give birth to who you really are. So your soul's purpose is this, it's like Christmas, it's this huge bowl of gifts. And you know what's the best thing that comes in it? And I heard this idea first from James Hillman. He's a post-Jungian psychologist who wrote a very famous book called The Soul's Code. And he came up with this concept, which now I think lots of psychologists all talk about, and they call it the acorn theory. So just like an acorn, the thing is what, this big?
Right.
And yet a 200-foot tall, magnificent, absolutely everything
Right.
that tree needs. Well, we're exactly the same. Right. Absolutely everything we need is in this little seed, and that is the metaphor in the book.
Right.
That your soul's purpose comes to you as a seed. But he's the one who said that rolled into that acorn is your invisible teacher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every single one of us has an invisible teacher, guide. And if that seems like a what idea, I think everybody on the planet has seen Elizabeth Gilbert's fabulous TED Talk, right? So when she's trying to explain why Eat, Pray, Love was, right, and she didn't see that coming.
Right.
She says, I was visited by a daimon, Daimon. Mm-hmm. So that's the Greek term. I think that's the Greek term. And then the Roman term is genius, not meaning you are a genius, but you're visited by a genius. The Christian term would be the Holy Spirit.
Right.
All the traditions have this terminology for not you, big, Michelangelo, but that this wisdom, this gift, this teacher rises through you. So it's taken me a long time to answer your question. Your soul's purpose is this. It's just this astonishing array of beauty and gifts. But the most amazing thing about it, and really the only thing I would like your listeners to remember, is it's not yours. Not really. I mean, it is unique to you. You are the only one that can bring it to life and fulfill it. Right. But your purpose is a divine.
Like in the Bhagavad Gita, where it says, be not the doer. I think that's what you're referring to, is it's being done through you rather than by you per se. Yeah.
Well, and that's the whole problem with the word purpose and life purpose. It sounds like a goal that you're supposed
to
come, right? Yes. When in reality, it's a mystical divinity. But actually, I mean, think about it for 10 seconds. How is the divine, call it God, call it Sophia, call it the divine feminine, call it anything, the self, Jung called it the self with a capital S, or in the Bhagavad Gita, you are that, that, whatever you call it. How can that be present on earth if you, me, we, every one of us isn't embodying it? Right? So how are you going to embody it? Live your soul's purpose.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's holy, it's sacred, and it's holy.
One thing I'd like you to address is age, because I heard more than once, but specifically there was a woman at a group I was at who was 80 years old, and she said, I still don't know my life purpose. I don't know why I'm here. And there are more and more older adults. What do you say to someone who's older and feels they've missed the boat?
Actually, it's kind of adorable and interesting, but the bulk of people coming to my courses, coming to my radio show, they're not kids in their 20s and 30s.
Oh, interesting.
We are grown-ups. I'll be celebrating my 70th birthday very, very, very soon. My first book didn't come out until I was just a couple months short of 60.
Right. Okay.
So actually, it's, I think, normal. Perhaps you've heard Richard Rohr in his beautiful book, Falling Upward. Mm-hmm. He says that when we're young, we're busy building this container.
Yes.
And the container is the job and the money and the career and the degrees of the build, right? He says the container has to break. It has to break. It has to shatter. In order for you to stop putting all your attention on the container and focus on the contained. Well, your soul's purpose is the contained.
Right, it's what's in there.
But I was worried that people would think. So I actually, in the very opening paragraph, say that You tucked your purpose along with your gifts and your shadows and even your divine teacher into your heart and promised you would never, ever, ever forget. But then you were born and forgetting began. That's normal. Mm-hmm. But the memory slept on in your heart. And now, when you get quiet, you feel something beckoning you. And that doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Beckoning you to a richer kind of life, a life thrumming with meaning and overflowing with joy. As you walk the spiral path ahead, you will remember the sacred purpose you carried into this world, and your heart will leap in joyful recognition. And you will remember something else, something even more important. You will remember that your purpose is the divine purpose, expressed in and through and as the unique being that is you. Well, so what? It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I just celebrate. I really celebrate, actually, the older people, mm-hmm. my peers.
Right.
Right? I give them great. When I say my first book came out when I was 60, Writing Down Your Soul, they kind of go, oh, it's never too late.
Right.
Absolutely never too late. If in the last 2 years of your life, mm-hmm. you turned to the divine and said, use me, show me why I'm here, let my life have meaning. I don't want anybody to hold that untruth, because it is an untruth. Mm-hmm. It's not for me. I missed the boat. Right. It's too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late
mm-hmm.
to walk the fields of the soul. It's never.
And I think making that separation between, because I agree with you, most of us think when we think soul purpose or life purpose, we think job, we think career. That's what we think. It's a natural thing. And so I think when you're talking about older adults like ourselves, where maybe you're at the end of your career or whatever, you're not just starting out. To know that your life purpose doesn't have to be tied up with career or work is really important. So I'd like to do something now. First of all, I really encourage people to get your book because it's outstanding. But for somebody who's just listening right now or watching this and they don't have the book, what would you say is a good way for somebody to get started?
Well, right away, the very first thought, and this would be true of anything I do, all of my books, is to go inside. And the easiest way to go inside for me and for most of the people I know is in deep soul writing. Mm. We all are learning how to meditate, but we find that meditation takes time. Mm-hmm. It takes time to, really feel that you're making that connection with the divine within. In deep soul writing, it can be very, very, very fast. Mm-hmm. And so simply, and you can come for details to my website, janetconner.com. Right. So, but for starters, like right now, the minute this video is over, mm-hmm. a person can pick up a pen and address the divine voice within them by name. You don't know the name? Fine. Dear one, dear beloved, dear friend, dear guide, dear purpose. Speak directly to your soul's purpose. And start a conversation. So you show up in writing, say hello, express your story, what your fears are, where you are, and very quickly you will discover that there is this communion, this effortless communion that pops onto the page and can give you the guidance. And that's not something you do over here right. and then read the book. Mm-hmm. A book is a giant deep soul writing.
Yes.
Because I give you the map. That's right. all this is. This
right.
is the map, the mystical map of the spiral. Right. But you're the one walking it. Right. And you walk it. Yes, I give you guided meditations in the most amazing labyrinths you've ever seen. But the bulk of it are your right. deep soul explorations. And they're not all writing, but always, always. In every deep soul exploration, there will be some writing, because what you discover on the spiral is not what I'm going to discover on the spiral. Right? This is the spiral that's inside of you. This is your relationship with the divine. Right. And everyone's is unique, just like everybody's soul purpose is utterly and completely different. So the very first thing is to hold in your heart, listen to your heart, and feel that yearning, hear that yearning, acknowledge that yearning, tell that yearning, I hear you, I'm here for you. Let us walk the sacred spiral and remember who we are and why we are here. So just begin by listening to your beautiful heart, the divine in here. Have a conversation and then start walking the spiral.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. And I encourage people to do that as soon as they finish watching this. So tell us now tell us about your website and how people can find you. And you have a radio show. So tell us all about that so people know how they can connect with you.
Thank you. My website is janetconner.com. And I think I actually acquired the misspelling as well, but it is CONNER, janetconner.com. And there on the home page, you can see all the books. I've been busy in these 10
at you.
Isn't this astonishing? I don't want anybody to ever say it's too late. It is never too late to fall in love. Because once I started living my soul's purpose, oh my God, you can't have more fun. So the books are there. The live courses are there. The radio show is called The Soul Directed Life, and it is supported by the Unity FM network. That's on the homepage. And for those who'd like to dive deeply into prayer, the One of Hearts prayer practice is there as well. So just come to janetconner.com and look at all the goodies. It's a little smorgasbord on the homepage. Sign up for the newsletter, and then you'll always know what's the next live course, what's happening. And you can find me on Facebook as well, Janet Conner, for my personal. And the show has its own Facebook page, Janet Conner, The Soul Directed Life.
Perfect. You are busy living your soul purpose. That's awesome.
And you know what's such a miracle and a mystery about this is when I was I created the hiring program at CNN. I was a headhunter, independent. I worked really, really hard and I was exhausted.
Right.
Now I work twice as hard if you want to count hours.
Right.
And every day is just, I sing my soul's purpose every day, and I live it and fulfill it with all of this divine support. And life is a joy. Life's a joy. So yes, it's never too late.
Thank you so much for being on my show. I really appreciate your time and being here. And I encourage people to buy your book, work with it, play with it, and find their soul's purpose. Thank you, Janet.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, and more wow. Did Janet say a lot in about 20 minutes? I'll say she did. And I think she made a great explanation about our life purpose, our soul's purpose, and how it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with our work or our career. Because that's something that I find a lot in working with people, is they always assume that their soul purpose or life purpose has to do with their job. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, And her book, I've said it, and I'm going to say it again, but it really is good. So no matter how old or how young you are, if this is something where you feel you really want to get in better alignment with who you are and why you're here and what your gift is to the planet, the book will lead you through a process that will help you to do that. And Janet is right. At this point in history, it's always been true that the more of us who live our life purpose, the better. But right now, it's really critical that more and more of us get in touch with why we're here and really live in attunement with that. So thank you for being here today. It's always a pleasure to do the Keeping It Real show. And I hope that it has provided you with some inspiration and insight. Next time.